Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Hello, welcome to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Craig Sager. Today it's Monday. It is Cinco de Mayo. We've got a great show for you. We will have Mill Creek soccer coach Stephen George on in segment 2 after our fast break headlines. Talk about the upcoming soccer playoffs and their incredible season so far. We're going to catch up with Tim Scott of the GHSA, back to our regularly scheduled Monday conversation with him. This is a really busy week coming up with our spring playoffs, so it will be nice to talk to him to see what's on the plate for the GHSA. In segment 4, we will have our BSN Weekend Recap. We'll catch up with Hayden Gilbert, who was at Lake Lanier this week for the Bass Fishing State Championships. It was honestly a miracle they got it in with the weather, but it was an outstanding event. We'll get his firsthand take, and then in segment 5, we got something special for you. Stay tuned for Cinco de Mayo. But let's go ahead and bring Najee Wilkins on to talk about our fast break headlines. Najee, I was mentioning that this weekend, outside of, I guess, maybe some spring games that were from the classifications that were staggered in the bass fishing, there wasn't too much going on, but this week in particular, like Monday, Tuesday, I mean, this is one of the busiest weeks, I think, of the entire school year.
No, 100%. I mean, you got obviously lacrosse playoffs are going on. You got soccer kind of dwindling down a little bit. You got guys preparing, obviously, for sectionals. Preparing for state. So a lot of people are going to miss, spring practice, or a couple of the top end players are going to miss spring practice. So a very busy week coming up, and, a lot of kids are kind of closing that chapter because in 2 weeks we'll have graduation as well for the 2025 class. So like you said, Craig, very busy week.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's going to be so fun. We've got Cinco de Mayo that week's already always positioned like right at the busiest time in the playoffs. So yeah, we got baseball heading to the semifinals. Lacrosse has caught up with them. Soccer, we got tennis, golf, the track and field state championships are coming up. We've already had the prelims. And then, as you said, spring practice has started with football. I mean, it does not get better than this. But I'm going to go ahead. Let's start off with these fast break headlines and just get right into them. Headline number 1, I'll get things going. You go to scoreatl.com. There's a story posted, my daily dive from on Friday. This is the Lassiter girls lacrosse team, and Lacey Sherholtz and the Lassiter Trojans march into the quarterfinals. Senior Lacey Sherholtz is continuing to pace the Trojans offense at a blazing pace this season, and she tallied another 7-goal performance on Thursday night, leading Lassiter to a 20-6 victory over Greenbrier. Sherholtz, who is committed to play for East Carolina next spring, has helped spark the high-powered Lassiter offense this season as the team's go-to offensive weapon. In this latest victory, she completed a hat trick early in the second quarter and then piled on another pair of goals to go into the half with 5 as Lassiter enjoyed a 14-2 lead. With Sherholtz attacking the net, she has found ways to open up opportunities for her teammates, and she also finished the game with 4 assists to go with her 7 total goals. This is a quote from Angela Bruner, head coach of the Trojans. Lacey has been dynamite this season. She's been pretty consistent with high numbers throughout the year. Her ability to change her speed and direction makes her an explosive attacker, and she's also very shifty. Against Greenbrier, Lassiter jumped out to an 8-2 lead in the first quarter. Senior Maddie Wardrop scored 2 goals and was one of 5 different Lassiter players that found the net in the first quarter. Lassiter outscored Greenbrier 6-0 in the second quarter, and that is when Lacey took over offensively. Lassiter eventually forced a running clock, something we don't see often in the playoffs, but did not stop the Trojans from piling on more goals, and Addie Wiersma finished with 4 to go with her 6th assist. Additionally, Sophie Hortman tallied 4 goals in Lassiter's scoring barrage. Lassiter has now won 9 straight games and is 15-4 this season. More importantly, they are 10-0 at home. In the quarterfinals, however, the Trojans will have to travel south to Richmond Hill in the Savannah area to take on the Wildcats, who are also a number 1 seed in the Division II bracket. Both Lassiter and Richmond Hill observed first-round byes in the playoffs, and Richmond Hill advanced with a 13-4 home win over East Coweta to punch their ticket into the quarterfinals. Richmond Hill's record this season is 9-8, and one of those losses came to a common opponent in Greenbrier. That's the team Lassiter just beat in the playoffs the last round, 20-6. When they played on March 13th, Richmond Hill fell to Greenbrier 12-5. So Najee, I think this is a win that Lassiter probably will be able to get, just looking at how Richmond Hill, it's like a 500 team. You have Lassiter playing red hot right now. Greenbrier beat Richmond Hill. Richmond Hill is going to have to play Lassiter, the team that just demolished Greenbrier. What's your take just with what Lacey Sherholtz has been able to do, scoring these 7 goals, and just seeing how many different pieces are getting involved in Lassiter's offense lately?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need it just in terms of as the competition goes and gets stiffer. Lacey has been phenomenal. What she's been able to do on the pitch, just not just scoring, but also facilitating, setting up opportunities for her teammates. But it's going to take a whole group. When you take down, the Miltons of the world or the top end teams in that Division II, you're going to need players like Lacey Sherholtz. You're going to need some of her teammates to step up because she's going to be the main premise of that offense. So they're going to try to take her out of the game. But her playmaking ability, and if her teammates can take advantage of that, they can be dangerous.
Yes, certainly. And it's really exciting to see just when she gets going, the shiftiness, the ability to change pace. We see some great goal scorers doing that in other sports, people that can drive the lane with a speed burst, or maybe it's in basketball, similarly with soccer. But it seems like ever since that Walton game where they had to fight back at the end, they've looked like a completely different team. Obviously, Richmond Hill has improved also. That big win they had in the last round, but it should be a very interesting result. That game's coming up this week, and it will be a long road trip for Lassiter. All right, headline 2, Baconton Charter, another red-hot team. This is in baseball. They're riding a 22-game win streak into the Class A Division II quarterfinals. The playoffs are in full swing, and next week we'll see the semifinalists set for baseball on the diamond. Baconton Charter has continued their dominance all season and through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. They're now 31-1 this year with this 22-game win streak. The Blazers are perfect against GHSA competition this season, with their only loss coming to Valwood in a 5-3 contest back on March 6th. Since that loss, Baconton Charter has avenged that loss to Valwood, defeating them 5-4 later in the month. And then after sweeping Glasscock County 12-0 in the first round of the playoffs, Baconton Charter eliminated Irwin County, the number 4 ranked team in the classification, with a 7-3 and 9-2 sweep in the quarterfinals. Irwin County was the number 3 seed out of Region 2, which still has top seed Lanier County and number 2 seed Charlton County in the playoffs. Lanier County will host Metter next round after the Tigers scored a dramatic 8-5 Game 3 victory over Region 6 champion Crawford County. So you have a Metter team that pulled off one of the bigger upsets of the playoffs so far in Class A Division II, taking on, in my opinion, the hottest team. I've had Baconton Charter ranked number 2 all season long. Lanier County was number 1 because they came out with that top seed in that big region. But I'd say if you look at the resume, they've got a perfect record inside the classification. And that series win they had over Irwin County, being able to sweep them, that was huge. I feel like that was that sweep they needed to keep their rhythm going in terms of the pitching rotation, and then heading into this big matchup against Metter. But congratulations to Baconton Charter extending that win streak. All right, headline 3, let's go to the tennis state playoffs with an update. Walton, West Forsyth, and the Lambert boys advanced to the Class 6A semifinals. You see that right there. 3 of the 4 teams have already punched their ticket. We got one more quarterfinal matchup. You see the bottom right of that bracket that will be going on today. That is North Gwinnett against Buford, a tremendous matchup in the quarterfinals. The winner will go on to take on Lambert in the semifinals. And then you see on the other side, it will be Walton against West Forsyth. So right there with the semifinals, you got tons of programs that have routinely been in the state championships, all on the same collision course. And we will have the tennis semifinals set this week. But going through the classifications, most of them have about 3 semifinalists set with just 1 remaining match. The teams had until March 6th to complete that round. Most of them got it out of the way this past week, but we got one more big matchup to watch for tonight with that North Gwinnett and Buford. All right, Najee, take us away with another tennis headline.
Yep, Chamblee heads to 5A tennis semis with a 3-0 win over Glenn Academy. Cavi Palin, who's number 3 singles player, got a first taste of the state tournament play, and like what he gave on the court, the first point of the match with a quick 6-0 victory over Glenn's Weston Wells. Chamblee was set up with a set of number 1 singles, number 2 singles, and number 1 doubles when Palin finished his match. The second point came from number 1 doubles duo of William Hackney and Alex Corsi as they took on Glenn Glenn's Andrew McKinnon and Cameron Schumann. The Bulldog pair lost just one game in their 6-0, 6-1 win. Jacob Dorland was up a set with 6-3 win in his opener versus Glenn's Cameron Gazaway, and Landon Marcus was up 6-4 win against Graham Meats. The number two doubles of Owen Flake and Sid Hoare lost their first set 4-6 to Glenn's pair of James Keneval and Henry Atkins. They forced a 3-set with a 6-0 win in the second set. All right, last headline. Stevens County rallies past Redan twice on the way to a Class 2A baseball sweep. Late inning rallies and crucial defensive plays by Stevens County Indians turned into a sweep against Redan after falling 4-2 in the open game of the series. The Raiders took a 1-0 lead in the seventh inning of the nightcap when an one-out error opened the door for the Indians, who were 23-9 on the season. Redan catcher Xavier Zachary picked off Stevens County base runner Duke Collins with a snap throw to first to put the Raiders 2 outs from evening the series at 1 game apiece. Christian Hewitt followed that with what looked like the second out of the inning, only to have the throw from short bounce, allowing Hewitt to reach on the error. Pitcher Matt Evans got a strikeout to get with one of a complete win, but the 3-2 pitch by Tyler Ziggin was drilled to the center field fence, scoring the tying run in the form of Hewitt. Evans kept the damage to a minimum with another strikeout, his 9th of the 10th in the game to end the inning. After 2 3-ups, 3 downs at bat for each team in the 8th, the Raiders' Dylan Marks drew a walk, and Jameer Holloway followed with a single to center to put 2 runners in outs. The Indians defense stepped up with his third double play of the day as a bunt was caught in the air by reliever Finley Ward, who turned and threw to second to double up the Redan runner. Ward then came back to the mound and ended the Raider threat.
Yep, and just an unbelievable series. I know Stevens County got the sweep, but it doesn't get much closer than that. It seems like each of those double plays ended up getting them out of some jams. So they won 4-2, 2-1. They'll now play Franklin County next in the quarterfinals. That's it for our Fast Break headlines. Thank you so much, Najee. We will be back on the other side with Mill Creek Soccer.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now I'm joined by Hayden Gilbert. We're going to have Stephen George on the show, Mill Creek's head boys soccer coach. How's it going, Coach?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Doing fantastic. So you guys have had a great soccer season so far. You've really played in some battles. How would you just describe what you've seen from the team's journey throughout the year?
First and foremost, appreciate you guys having me on and giving a little bit of exposure to high school soccer. I think that's great. talking about kind of like our growth throughout the year, we're a really young team. So, we start 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and have quite a bit of young talent that just needed a little bit of high school experience. We played a lot of good teams close early on in the year, and really after spring break, we've been able to perform, I think, much cleaner, much better, just because I think the guys have had that experience now for a few months playing high school soccer.
Yeah, and Coach, you were mentioning the youth. Obviously, you guys played some tough games out of the gate. You knew that you would have to gain that experience, but when was the point of the season where the team maybe felt that they had enough experience, they were really ready to get things going and be able to make this run that you guys have been on?
Right. I think there were 2 different points in the season. We had a week where we had to play Buford and Discovery back to back. We performed well in those games, winning both of those games 2-0. I think that gave them a little bit of confidence that, hey, we can go out there, we can do well in our region. If we can do well in our region, we can do well in the playoffs. And then the second point was the game against Collins Hill. We really did not play all that well. We kind of learned a little bit about playing against a really good team. Collins Hill is a really good team. And we realized, hey, we're going to have to kind of change the way the style of play. And so that experience was an eye-opener, and I think it's helped us to become a better team.
Certainly. And when you saw that you had this young team coming out this season, what were some of the things that you were excited about? Some maybe characteristics of this team that you thought you guys could be strong in?
Yeah, I mean, we have some good senior leadership, so I was excited for those guys to really step into more of a leadership role for us. And I knew that the freshmen that were coming in, they play at a high level in club. I knew that they would be able to do it. From like a technical and tactical standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, I was interested to see as to whether or not they could measure up to guys that are sometimes like 3-4 years older than them. So I've been very, very pleased and impressed with some of the players that didn't play a whole lot of minutes last year for us or are freshmen this year. Like, for example, Parker Mount. I mean, he's played every single minute of every single game as a freshman, and he was first team all region as a freshman. Just fantastic, production from him as a freshman.
Yeah, I think, Coach, just talk to me about y'all's playoff victory. I heard it was crazy, just everything that was going through your head, just everything that happened towards the end of that game.
Yeah, I haven't been a part of a high school game, especially not a playoff game like that, really. We scored, I think, the go-ahead goal with like 14 minutes left, and that made it 2-1. They came and scored the equalizer with, I think it was like 9 minutes left, so it was 2-2. Then with less than 4 minutes left, they scored to take the lead to go up 3-2. And, when they took the lead, I thought that we had been the better team. I thought that we had created better chances, and it was kind of like, oh man, this kind of stinks that we're kind of letting this slip through our hands here. But the kids are resilient. The kids are resilient. They continued to press and push forward, and we got the tying goal to make it 3-3 with 1 minute and like 22 seconds left or something like that. And then we were able to then score the winning goal with 1 minute left. So talking about, multiple goals being scored within the last 10 minutes of the game and just massive momentum shifts. That's something that, makes a high school soccer game like that special. And it's something that those kids that experienced it will remember for the rest of their lives.
Then, Coach, let's move on to this coming matchup with Pebblebrook. Pebblebrook's a really good team. What are y'all going to have to do to win?
Yeah, they're good. We watched some of the film from their previous games. They look like they have a whole lot of athleticism and a whole lot of technical ability. They'll probably be the best team that we've played so far yet this year. We're just going to have to execute technically, tactically. You know, we may not get as many opportunities to score as they will. We have to do the best to finish the chances that we create. But you know, we've kind of had this mindset that, hey, we're just going to go out there. We're gonna play as hard as we can. We're going to have fun, and then just enjoy the experience, enjoy the time with one another as much as we possibly can, and just make this last as long as possible. So that's the main thing for us. We're just going to enjoy the opportunity and try to do the best that we can.
And Coach, you were talking about the finish in that Etowah game. Describe just those 2 late goals. How did you guys create those opportunities? Just walk us through that sequence.
Yeah, that kind of added to the craziness. The tying goal to make it 3-3 was a little bit more like run of the mill, to where we were able to get possession. We played a good ball over the top. Jack Mrazowitz has a lot of pace. He was able to get on to the end of it and cross it in for really just a one-touch, pretty easy finish. Something that we work on in training a decent amount. And so that one was a little bit, you know, more typical. The go-ahead goal, it was a weird sequence of events. They, after on the kickoff, they essentially passed the ball back. It went back to their goalkeeper. Their goalkeeper maybe like tripped over the ball a little bit. My guy went and pressed him, and he was able to come away with possession, but he kicked it out of bounds. I think then he started to yell at the referee and got carded for dissent. And so in high school, if you get a yellow card, you have to come off the field. And so they had to put in their backup goalkeeper because the Etowah goalkeeper starting goalkeeper got yellow carded. And we threw the ball in. Jack Mrazowitz, you know, good player, goes to hit this cross, and it starts curving towards the goal. And it was hit with a lot of pace, and it actually ricocheted off the goalkeeper into the goal. So I really felt for the Etowah goalkeepers and their coaching staff for kind of what transpired. You don't really want to see that. You don't really want to see that happen. You know, obviously we were happy to get the goal, but it was kind of unfortunate, especially from their standpoint and how it happened.
Yeah, and then you guys have been on the road for, I mean, quite a while since the playoffs started. What's that been like, just having to go into these hostile environments as the number 3 seed?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal for us. We had quite a lot of away games throughout the year this year. It's not really that big of a deal. These guys play high level in club. They have to travel all around the country, playing in different places. So going to different stadiums doesn't matter to us. We'll play whoever, wherever. It doesn't matter. We'll just go out there and do the best that we can.
And then just talk real quick, Coach, about Atlanta Fire United, something you're really familiar with, and just the opportunity you have with that to just continue to grow the game in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, so this is actually my last year of teaching and coaching high school. I'm going to move into a full-time position with Atlanta Fire. I've been with them for a number of years. You know, they offer some of the highest levels in youth soccer. I've coached boys, I've coached girls, pretty much all ages. It's a good club that tries to do things the right way. I played there as a kid growing up. Care a lot about it, and I believe that the club itself offers the programming necessary to help the kids be successful, both in soccer and off the field.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, best of luck with that, and then best of luck against Pebblebrook. Congratulations on the run so far, and best of luck in the playoffs, Coach.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. All right, so there goes Mill Creek. We'll be back on the other side with Tim Scott of the GHSA to check in.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we're going to check in with Tim Scott of the GHSA. How's it going, Tim?
Hey, man. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. So we've been talking about how busy this upcoming week is for spring sports. Seems like everything is going on at once, but this weekend was really about the bass fishing. The weather was so unpredictable. I just want to ask you what the conversations were like with you just on Friday. We saw the tornado go through Hall County. The weather looked like it might be problematic, but you guys stuck with it and were able to get it in. So, I mean, how tough was that decision?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to watch the weather. That's something that we have to do every year, and it's each weekend. You never know, and just we were very fortunate. But we try to hang in there and make sure, because we have a schedule that we have to try to stay on. But safety comes first, and we want to take care of our young people in that situation. But the bass tournament was a great event and really super. So we're very fortunate with the weather that held off.
Yeah, I mean, it held off. Everything ended up being okay. The boaters were safe, and it ended up producing, I think, one of the biggest catches in the sport's history. So, I mean, it was a great event. But in terms of this week, we're looking at just all the different events that are going on, getting deep into the playoffs. What's this week looking like from the GHSA, just being able to get all your resources out there and make sure you're helping all these different sports?
Well, we're pretty packed this week. We've got baseball the 7th and 8th. This Friday and Saturday is the state track events going on. Then, we have lacrosse going on. So, I mean, it's a whole lot, and very thankful. We have some great people hosting around the state. So we're very fortunate that, with the people that we get to work with that are really good and really take care of us that way. But as far as being busy, it's going to be really busy. And of course, then the Dooley Awards are this coming Saturday as well.
And talk about those awards real quick.
So it's basically Athletes for a Better World. It talks about not just things that athletes do on the field. It's what they do off the field. It's what they do in the classroom. It's what they do in their community. A lot of the qualities that Coach Dooley had, and it displayed throughout his career. And so we're highlighting not just those that are great athletes, but those that do have community service and that do a good job in the classroom and give back and just quality citizens.
And what day is that award?
That's Saturday at North Atlanta High School.
Gotcha. And then we have golf coming up, also track and field. Let's talk about the track and field, how busy that's going to be, the different locations, and have all the qualifiers been set for that?
Yeah, they have, and they're still qualifying too. But Friday, I think I'm going to be in East Jackson on Friday, and Carrollton on Saturday. Then we have Rome and that we're doing, and then you have those down in Albany. So we're all over the state. Our office people have divided up, and we'll be at all those different locations as we participate in the state meet. And so we're excited about that. Some really good events, and we're looking forward to the competition.
Yep, and then everything has been on schedule so far. Weather hasn't thrown anything off, but in terms of these contingency plans for a sport like bass fishing, I mean, how does the GHSA look at it and be able to have these backup plans like you guys saw with the sectional being canceled, but when it comes to these deep playoff rounds, just being ready to adjust if needed?
Yeah, we have to, and that's part of the scheduling process that we do. So you have a day or two from when you participate that if you have to push it back a little bit, and then we have to be flexible with the times we can participate during the day even. For example, a baseball game, if you're having some tough weather in the evening, you may have to bump it a little earlier in the day, and you have to work with your school and school districts on all those logistics as well.
Yep, and then so are the track and field state championships, is that the next big one coming up, or is it going to be soccer soon after that?
Well, it's the the track state championships are the biggest ones coming up right now. We're still in the qualifying rounds or playoffs for lacrosse, soccer, and baseball.
That's right. I think it's usually track, soccer, lacrosse, and baseball is usually the final one. I want to ask you just about the lacrosse state championships. It's hosted at Denmark High School once again this year. That's a sport where we've seen it at a lot of different venues over the years. Fifth Third Bank hosted it one of the times, but how has it worked out with Denmark being the host for the state championships, a site that doesn't host other sporting events?
Well, they do a good job with that, and it works out really well. Lacrosse is a growing event, and so we're excited, and Denmark, helps us with that, and we're appreciative.
And then what's next in terms of you guys being able to meet? I'm sure this week is way too busy to try to get the ADs and everyone looking ahead to future seasons. This week's pretty busy, but when's the next time you guys are going to be able to sit down and meet?
Well, as far as trustees, I'm hoping to have a meeting the first part of June to get back together. We won't do anything in May. It's with schools finishing up, and you don't want to forget our athletic directors and administrators at our schools. They all have their schools to take care of and events that they close out school with end of the year awards and graduation and different things that they do there as well. So we'll look to meet the first part of June sometime. Absolutely. And then what about baseball, the different venues that will be hosting this year? Is it the same that it has been? And how's that relationship been? We're at Georgia, great relationships. We're, of course, in Rome at the stadium there, over at the Striper Stadium in Gwinnett, and then down at Georgia Southern. Three really nice venues, and those folks take good care of us, and we're all excited to have those opportunities to play in those facilities. Yep, and I saw this year it's just the 3 facilities. So did they have more days available this year? That's why you were able to condense it down to just 3 locations, where in the past I think it's been 4? I'm not really sure. That was all planned before I took over in July, so not sure of the reason there. But Georgia Southern, I know they're doing some work down there, but they were able to get us in. And then Gwinnett and Rome always do a good job of hosting us. And a lot of times it depends on where those teams are playing. And if we have to let them know far enough in advance that they can be on the road. Certainly. So, yeah, that'll be Georgia Southern, Rome, and Coolray hosting the baseball state championships. It'll be very exciting. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this week and handling all the business over at the GHSA. Hey, thank you. Y'all have a great week. You bet. Thanks for joining us. See you next Monday. All right, there goes Tim Scott. We'll be back on the other side with our BSN Weekend Recap.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. We've got Hayden Gilbert and Max Waborski with us now. Hayden, I want to start with you. You were at the Bass Fishing State Championships this weekend. Let's start off just talking about the weather. Seeing what happened on Friday with the tornadoes going right through the area where the tournaments were going to be held. One, I mean, what was the damage like? And two, how did that play into, I guess, the fish the next day?
I mean, I think more than anything, it was more spectacular than damage. There's a church up there. I think they had 10 or so trees knocked down. It flipped a few docks. It didn't do too much damage, but the videos are just awestruck. I was just awestruck by them. It was only about a mile, maybe 2 miles down the lake from Laurel Park, where they were holding the weigh-ins the next day, and where they had just finished holding the check-in for the tournament. And I talked to Dr. Hines about it. He said that they had just left. He was heading to get something to eat, and it just started hailing, and it was just crazy weather. They were supposed to be bad thunderstorms, but the tornado was completely out of left field.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really in the forecast. That happened on Friday. So what were the conditions like? Because it seemed like after that storm went through, obviously rain will impact how the fish are biting, but it was also a cooler day after that.
It's interesting. Sometimes those cooler days, those windier days, will have fish actually more active than on a nice, calm bluebird sky day. It just depends on how the wind's blowing, if the weather's coming in from a normal direction or if it's coming in from a weird direction. If it's normal, rain doesn't really affect them until it gets to that point where it muddies the water and everything, because, I mean, they're already in the water. It doesn't have that much of an effect, especially with the kind of warmer rains that we had on Friday night.
Yeah, and you totally called it with how big the bag would end up being. Max, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, just a quick question, Hayden, on obviously the weather obviously made its impact on the day, but what would you say the environment was like at the event?
I thought it was a really nice environment. Laurel Park is a great place to hold it. They have a small, not amphitheater, but seating area for it. They have all this. They have all this stuff to host it. They host tournaments all the time. Besides the rain, I thought it was a good environment. I thought people were having a really good time, and I thought it was equal to or better than last year at Clark Central, or at Clark's Hill.
Yep, and then we've got Najee on the call too. Najee, Hayden was saying that we might get to see a bag over 20 pounds. I mean, it happened this time. It looks like Greenbrier won another state title. This time it was Tripp and Matthew. What's your thoughts, Najee, about them being able to get this tournament in and just dealing with some of the adversity this season with the fishing schedule?
I think Hayden hit on the head. I think that was Thursday that we talked about that, just as far as hitting over the 20-pound. Just a great job. Hayden gave some pointers too, basically figuring out, where, the fish were, where they were kind of, being at. But no, that was huge. I mean, you got rain, you know what I'm saying? You got weather, inclement weather, and they still were able to, champion, and two people hit 20. So, I mean, that was a great fishing by South Forsyth and the Greenbrier in this event. So just, as Hayden said, get there a couple hours earlier, test out the water, see what's kind of working. And, obviously it worked in their favor. And shout out to them for battling through adversity and winning.
For sure. And then, Hayden, I want to ask you about Tripp and Matthew, specifically the pair that won it. They had quite a memorable weekend. You detailed it in your story. Just walk us through kind of what they did that the day before.
So Friday night was Greenbrier High School's prom. They both went. They both didn't make check-in on Friday night. I'm sure they got everything done with the GHSA, but they had to get up before 4 a.m. to be there by that 7 o'clock blast off. And with all of that, to just come out there and win it, it's just really impressive. It's a really fun story.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So they came from, I guess, Augusta. You said they left at 4 a.m.?
They left Evans before 4 a.m. to get there for the 7 o'clock blast off.
Just came straight in from prom the night before, went out there all day, and then ended up winning. I mean, did you get to see their bag and the winning fish?
The big fish, it wasn't as big as last year's, I don't believe, but it was still a really nice fish. And it was just, every fish in that bag was a good fish, and they just had a great day out there.
For sure. And then, I mean, the runners-up, there were some other really close finishes. You saw South Forsyth, 20 pounds, 4 ounces, a mark that probably could have won it in previous years, had a great showing, but second place still something to be proud of with that many competitors. What's your thought just with how close it ended up being?
I thought it was probably the best tournament that since at least last year when I started covering the sport that they've had. This year they had, I believe, 12 bags over 16 pounds. That's 5 more than the other 3 tournaments of the year combined. It was just a really good day.
Anything else you want to talk about, just the tournament for people that haven't seen a bass fishing championship?
I think giving this opportunity to these kids and just them being able to go out there and have a good time and enjoy themselves, it's really fun to watch, and it's not this uber competitive environment the way in that a lot of other sports are.
Interesting. So you think a lot of them, I mean, they're out there just to have fun, the experience.
Yeah.
And just qualifying, obviously, is an accomplishment in itself, just being able to go to the state tournament. Well, let's talk about some of the other events coming up this week. What's on your radar, maybe some of the sports you think are going to have a really big week in terms of just overall matchups?
I mean, because I cover girls soccer, I'm really excited to see what the girls soccer is this season. 2A is going to have a really big matchup between Pike County and Sonoraville. Those are 2 top 4 teams. And I'm just really excited to see kind of us get to these semifinals and look at the upsets. I believe in the boys 2A, Jackson beat number 1 seed. I believe it was Morgan or Murray County. I believe it was Morgan. And I'm just really excited to see if they can continue that run. That's right. Yeah, they had that 2-1 win over Morgan County, the number 1 overall seed. Probably the bigger upset we've seen so far. What's your thought maybe about some of the baseball matchups we see? Just teams like Etowah, Walton still in it. Just we've seen some upsets, but just how solid the top teams have been so far. I think what we're going to see through this coming week is that we're going to see the elite teams start to have to play each other, especially in the top class, in the classifications that don't use the ranking system yet. I think we're going to get to see some really good matchups in the coming week. For sure. And then, Max, what's on your radar?
Well, I agree, Hayden. I think the top teams in this baseball bracket are going to start separating themselves from the rest. I mean, when you look at teams such as Pope and Houston County, I mean, they have a huge matchup this week in a 3-game series. If you go down to 4A, you have Cartersville and St. Pius as well. And then you have Marist as well, who's been one of the top teams in the state.
For sure. Yeah, that Pope-Houston County matchup doesn't get better than that. And then another one, you got Etowah Parkview that looks like a state championship matchup. The North Gwinnett, North Paulding on baseball, very interesting to me. We saw North Paulding had that sweep over Buford, but North Gwinnett has also been outstanding this year. And their team that came close last year, lost in the playoffs, but has really come out on just a tear this season. Got Brookwood Lounge, should be another intriguing matchup. And then where do we leave it now? We got the lacrosse matchups coming up. We talked about the Lassiter girls a little bit. I mean, what do you think about them just heating up at the right time, maybe being on a collision course with Milton?
I think it's going to be really fun. I think when you look at lacrosse, I think we're starting to see teams that 3, 4, 5 years ago weren't these powerhouses start to build these programs up because it's such a new sport in the state. I'm really excited to see teams that haven't competed for state titles or have only competed for 1 or 2 state titles really compete with some of the better teams in the state.
Yep, and real quick, so Lassiter is going to be making that trip to Richmond Hill, and then you got Milton playing Decatur. It looks like both those teams would win. They would advance to play in the semifinals, so it should be very intriguing. We got a lot of teams that have either swept their way through or dominated so far. Najee, real quick, what's on your radar this week?
Yeah, just the lacrosse playoffs. Agree with y'all. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
For sure. All right, well, that is all the time we have. We'll be back on the other side with something special for Cinco de Mayo. Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We've got Ashley Carey, Hayden Gilbert, Maxwell Borski, myself, and right now we will have a salsa tasting brought to us by Mr. Taco down the street, one of my favorite places. We've got 5 different salsas right here. One of the things that I love about Mr. Taco, they have a salsa bar. I haven't tried all these yet. We'll see what we think, but I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get started right here. This is the Mr. Taco House Salsa. I believe it is the spiciest one they have on the menu. So I'll give it a go first. Let's see.
Spicy. I can like feel.
Oh yeah, that's the spicy one.
Okay, I'm staying far away from that one.
That one is excellent. Putting that
one right
someone
there.
else go for it. If you
Or
like
try-
spicy
or-
food,
White for that.
Try something else. I think one of
It's
them
spicy.
is a guacamole salsa. But
this would be the guac. Yeah, I'm
I
gonna have
do-
the hiccups after that.
Have me sweating on
Spicy.
it. Good.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Spicy.
Right?
I don't do spicy, so I'm gonna stay away from all that. But what's really cool about Mr. Taco, like you said, is it's very unique. So
Do it.
it's not your typical Mexican restaurant where you sit down, they bring salsa to the table. You get to choose your own salsa that's definitely catered to your palate. So Craig, if I go to lunch with you, you're ordering the house. I am not going anywhere near the house. I'm going with their generic salsa that is not spicy at all. But that's the beauty of it. And if you want to try new things, you can, and it's really cool.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about it. A lot of salsas will say spicy on them, and then you eat it, it's not really that spicy. This one, this is the real deal right there.
The beauty of it too is even though their buffet of salsa is in their at their locations, they'll also obviously send it to go as well. So it's great for parties. If you guys want to have a salsa bar at your parties, you can. We go. I think we all go up there at least like once or twice a month
For
at
sure.
this point. They have a Holcomb Bridge Road location in Roswell and then one up in Alpharetta as well. Tonight they're actually both doing Cinco de Mayo parties that have live music, food, the salsa bar, drinks. They'll even have a mechanical bull out there tonight.
Wow.
And to be honest, I think the weather is finally supposed to give up this evening, so it's going to be a great night and a great time for celebrating Cinco de Mayo.
Craig, we got to get you on the mechanical bull. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We can do a bracket, a Score Atlanta bracket,
I like
who
it.
can stay on the bull the longest. But all right, let's try a different salsa. I'm thinking this one, I don't think they're labeled. But
That's
this one
the guacamole
That is,
one.
okay, I'll try the guacamole.
I'll go
Somebody
over
else
here.
try something else so that I'm not the only one eating on it.
Down far left. I got you.
So I've been to both locations. I actually rode the Greenway on a bike all the way to the Mr. Taco over by the Avalon, and that was my reward for getting to the end of it.
That's awesome. I love it. The guacamole is really good. It's very light. It's very thin. I feel like you could even put it on like a burrito bowl or a taco salad or something like that.
Kind of spicy down here too, Craig.
Spicy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's good though.
Yeah.
It's good. Right?
Okay, what about
Trying
this
something
one?
new.
This green one right here.
That would be the, was it tomatillo salsa?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That one's excellent. The pico is, I like that one. Tons of onions in it.
Oh,
I used to not
that's
like
mine.
onions. Now it's like my go-to.
Oh, yeah.
So
That would be what I would order.
that's amazing right there.
Now, I have to ask Hayden, before we started this segment, there's always one. Craig didn't like Thanksgiving meals. Hayden, you're not a big salsa person. What is it about salsa?
Just not my favorite.
Really?
But more of a queso guy.
Queso guy. Well, we also got queso from them as well, so there's no shortage of that. But what are y'all Cinco de Mayo plans tonight?
Ooh, probably just hanging out. We might be making some stuff on the grill, maybe some tacos later, but some fun stuff. What about you?
I'm going to try to go for a run after work and then eat until I'm stuffed.
Yeah,
that is the
right.
plan.
I have a 20-month-old daughter. We're going to go check out Mr. Taco and see how it goes. Maybe I'll even try to get her on the bull. Who knows? She's crazy.
I didn't have any plans, but that might have to change now.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, it's always a fun environment there. They've always got great music, great vibes. The people that work there are absolutely fantastic. They're such a joy. It really makes the whole experience even better when you're enjoying yourself and the waitresses and the waiters are so nice. And I mean, you can just keep going back for different salsas.
For sure. I was in there today and they couldn't be any more helpful.
Yeah.
They were great. They were handling big orders and stuff, busy packed during lunch hours too. And it was very helpful.
I would love to see the statistics on how many pounds of queso, we'll have to do some research, how many pounds of queso is consumed on Cinco de Mayo versus all other days, or salsa versus all other days, because I can only imagine. I mean, it's literally, it's a holiday. I mean, people really celebrate it as if it's a Thanksgiving or a Christmas or something, where it's like every Cinco de Mayo, you're out, you're going to go get your Mexican food.
Yeah, I mean, I could eat this every single day, but I guess it's appropriate on Cinco de Mayo to eat it. What I like about Mr. Taco, though, their tacos are very affordable, but they have such a just diverse menu of options. I mean, if you like the authentic Mexican food, there's things on there that I haven't tried yet that look fantastic. It's always been quick, and I think they have a food truck now. I see going around the area. I've seen it at, I guess, Variant Brewery down by the Roswell Square. So they are really cranking it out and feeding people and making them happy.
Well, my goal for this season, everybody listening, is to get that taco truck out to some of our events, because you cannot go wrong with a Mexican food truck.
Not at all, no.
So what's y'all's go-to meal when you sit down at a Mexican restaurant?
Ooh. I'm more of a nachos person. So I like to load them up, get whatever you've got on there. So some shredded cheese, some lettuce, some ground beef. Whatever you can load up on there, I'm in for that.
I'm either 3 chicken tacos or chicken fajitas.
Ooh, very close. I like the 3 shredded chicken tacos, usually my go-to. I like them a little messy, and then I definitely like the fajitas. You cannot go wrong with fajitas. Every last little onion on there would go on my taco.
Be consumed.
Yes.
I'm a burrito bowl person, tried and true. However, I do like the fajitas. But it's funny you say nachos, Max, because to me, my entire life, nachos is always like an appetizer. Like I've never really been with anyone who has sat down and had nachos as a meal. But
I mean, like you sit down, like you have like your chips and dip, and then like, you know, it's kind of hard when you go to the meal and it's actually the same thing. But, you know, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, we can keep going and keep trying these out. Are there any you didn't try, Craig?
I tried them all.
I think I'm gonna go back to the first one. Was the first one?
I like the spicy
Is it really?
one.
Okay, but level like 0 to 10. Like 10, so probably 7 I would not try. Is it like a 7 or above?
This is an 8 out of 10 spicy, for sure.
Do I try it?
Yeah. I mean,
I'd try it.
Go for it.
It's very creamy. Like all the other textures are very watery compared, but this one's very creamy. All right, if I pass out on set.
We'll take a second. I mean,
That's
it's
crazy.
unique.
It's like I can feel it. Oh, wow. That has a kick to it.
Can't beat that one.
I like it. Well, don't forget tonight I'm talking with my mouth full. This evening, both locations, they have a Cinco de Mayo party, a mechanical bull, live music, food, drinks, everything you guys can imagine. It'll be a great time at both locations of Mr. Taco.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing these salsas in. Happy Cinco de Mayo, and we'll be stopping in soon for sure.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.